Hey, what's going on with you, family? Torsion Teeth Guitars, man. Today we're going to do just a general basic setup on an SBH series. So you guys know what I'm getting here and the difference between that and what you're getting there. So let's get right into it, man. All right. This is the process. All right. So I kind of know what to look for on these guitars. You guys are going to see what I'm talking about here shortly. But first thing is a 10mm wrench, because I can guarantee you that these are loose, as they are. Every one of them that we get is loose. I'll just tighten those up real quick. It's not going to be a string change or saddle screw changes or anything like that, just your basic general setup. So if you don't get the pro setup, this is what you get, okay? Just check the neck relief on this. And the neck relief on this looks actually fairly relatively good. But let's see what that looks like when we tune it up real quick. It wasn't too far out of whack, so it shouldn't change too much of anything. And it's about right. Actually, just a little bit of neck relief in there. So what you do is you just put your finger here, your pinky, where the body is. Then you want to see just a tiny bit of here. You can hear it, a tiny bit of smack on that, okay? So it's not going to be the best video, but it's not going to be the worst. Before we get to setting up this guitar, let's make sure it works, huh? No scratch. The pickup's going to have to come up a little bit. You'll notice here this screw is all the way up. This is how we get them. So, let me fix that for you real quick. Plenty of clearance there. Plenty of clearance there. And you're about even on it as far as the pickup goes on that. You can lower these pickups if you want to get a more even tone between your neck pickup and your bridge pickup. What you would do is you would raise the neck pickup up a little bit. This one's a little bit off. Very touchy. And then you would lower down that humbucker. If you leave it as it is when you get it, you'll notice that if you were to put it into the single coil mode, you won't have that much volume jump from your bridge pickup to your neck pickup. So let's see. So take this paper off. And almost every single one of these, they've blessed us. There's a little washer here, and I think they put it in upside down. And if you're going in between controls, your knobs, you probably slice your hand up, and I don't want to see anybody do that, so we push those down. There you go. Knobs look good, concentric. All right, let's get right into it, right? Most important part of the guitar, fretboard. Oh, crap. All right, let's get that back there. All right, so where are we at action-wise? This is coming from the factory, and we're at about 2.5. Okay, so which is obviously way too high. So we'll get to lowering that stuff. And as you lower that, you're going to notice that these saddle screws are going to pop up. So if you get a pro setup, we put the shorty saddle screws in there. If you don't, then the screws that you would use, they're on Amazon. You can get them, I think they're $7.99, $6.99, $7.99, somewhere around there for a pack of 50. And they're M3 by 6mm saddle screws. We're just going to get this down into range. We'll get back to it in a minute. I just don't like to have them all the way up. That should put us right at about 1.5. Check it again. I'm sorry, 1.75. So we're right at 1.75, which is what you're going to get with your standard setup. Excuse me. Put all these down real quick. Make sure the string alignment's okay. That looks really good, actually. So now I'm going to look at this bridge, and only because I've done so many of these, got a nice little radius on there to where it goes up and it goes down. So it's going to go like that, right? And I'm looking at the back of the guitar, and you can kind of tell. It looks like they made some attempt to intonate it. We'll check the intonation at the end of the deal here. Now we'll just loosen the strings up. Okay. It's a string spreader. These are a lifesaver for me, just because I do a whole bunch of guitars. We'll go ahead and rock the fretboard real quick. And a little high there in the middle. Just go a little high. Go ahead and mark that one. Go high in the middle there. Mark that one there. In the middle. Alright, that's That's not too bad. So we got three high frets. I'm just going to take a fret kisser. I don't waste my. I'm not trying to knock Stu Mac or anything, but $109 for the same tool that I can get for $29 on Amazon. They have them. Actually, I think this one is it's a more accurate fret kisser than the ones. I've gotten 2 Stu Mac ones, and I've gotten 2 of these. These work just as well, if not better, than the Stu Mac one does. You can also make your own with one of these little $9 tools. You just get a couple of pieces of tape and you put it on there. But for all intents and purposes, this will work out pretty good for you. So before we polish the frets, we're just going to work on these a little bit. They're not real bad, but they're not right. You know, your fretboard has to be pretty much spot on, man. That's just the deal with it. And you can see it doesn't take me that long to knock these out. So instead of, still needs a little in the middle, but just in the middle, so we're good there. And we're good on that one. So that one is done. This one just right in the middle here. Let's take this one. And again, it's not bad, but it's just easier to knock these out so you guys don't have to. Alright, cool deal. I got this one back here. A little in the middle. Just tap it down and see if we can. Just a tiny little bit right there. Yeah. When I hit the middle, the base side of that fret, it popped up just a tiny little bit. And when I say a tiny bit, I mean just a tiny little bit. All right, we're good there. Because I didn't take a whole bunch off of here, it's not going to take a whole bunch. I'm going to do more work with my sandpaper than I am with this Z file. So you got 4, 8, and 2, 21, 20, 18. 18 is usually typically on these guitars. All right, so you got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4 and 8, 18. Fix the 400 grit. And here's where we're gonna kind of do the rest of the work for that Z file. Make sure that there's no line. You don't want to go like super hard on this with this 400 grit either, because you'll take down more of the fret, and you just leveled your fret, so you don't want to do that. You do want to work it a little bit, but nothing crazy, you know. Just make sure you have a nice rounded edge and you don't see a line there. If you see a line there, I see a little line here, but that'll come out, and it's coming out now. So again, it's just a standard setup. It's not a big deal. If I were to set the action at 175, you probably wouldn't notice those, but if you were to drop it down to say 1.6, which is only 0.15 of a millimeter, right? You would definitely notice that. So you would get either a dead fret or some buzzing going on there. And this is not like because I'm doing it on video, I'm doing anything special. This is just what we do. All right, and we're going to go to 600 grit. Good. And I'm putting a decent amount of pressure, but again, nothing crazy. And then I'm going to work again on 4, 8, and 18. And I'm just going to make sure that those come out looking just like the rest of these factory frets, right? And these are coming along nicely. So. Might have been 9. Was it 8 or 9? Looks like 9, not 8. So I misspoke. There we go. That's fine. Hopefully this doesn't take too long. So now we're at, yeah, there's the 600 grit there. We'll move up to 800. And 9's looking good. So it's 4 and 9, not 4 and 8. Where I made count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It is 8. I just mismarked it there. Not the sharpest crayon in the box all the time, man. That fret looks good. It looks just like the rest of it, so we're good. Now we're going to go to 1000. And this is where we start not working the frets, but just kind of start polishing them with 1000, right? You really have to spend a long time on each fret with a lot of force in order to affect the fret at all. With your lower grits, you can affect the fret height. We'll go from 1000 to 1500. And then from 1500 to 2000. Put a nice shine on there. Take that 400 grit. We're going to walk off these marks for the next guitar. All right. So that consists of your fret polish, fret level. Well, not fret level, but you know what I'm saying. All right. Typically at that time with a Pro setup, you wouldn't have strings, so we would go ahead and we would take these off. We would take all this stuff off, but without the Pro setup, we just leave it on and you take it off. Not that hard. I'll take it off for this video just to show you how simple it is. You're going to need an X-Acto knife or a razor blade of some sort. Right? I'm just going to get under here. It's sticking out already, so it's not really that hard to do. And as soon as I say that, this will be a pain in the butt one. There we go. If you want to take your strings and loosen them, there's always going to be a tiny little bit of glue on there. Again, on the Pro setup, we knock that off for you. During the Pro setup, we'll also take this off of it right here, right? This is your paper. Now I'm going to play this guitar when I'm done, like I do every single one of them. We make a video of it. So if you get a pick guard after we've taken this plastic off and it's a little bit scratched, I don't want you to worry about it because there's two pieces of paper, 2 pieces of film on this, and we've left the other one on for you to take off at will after you scuff it up or whatever you want to do. All right, that's all good now. And we will find our tuners right there. So we'll go ahead and retune the guitar now. Make sure that all of our strings are the right 3.5, 3.5, 3, 3, 4. That one needs to come down a little bit. Okay, so we're good there. Check the intonation. It's fine. Good. 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 Yep. Yep, good. Good. All right. Now, one thing I noticed about these guitars, every one of them, can hear that? can hear that, and you can hear that. So we're going to hope and pray that there's enough room on this nut for me to knock those out. If you don't have a set of nut files, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this nut. That one's actually, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah, see, they're not leaving me a whole lot of room to fix this, but I'm gonna fix it. I don't know if you can see that or not, but so if you don't have this, this is a 17 gauge fret file, or nut file, I should say, but you could probably get away with using, well, let's try it, huh? Let's go 600 here. I'll just pull that out. And we fixed that ping, right? So no ping there. So I took some 600 grit sandpaper. That may not work in this next one just because it's a little smaller, but we'll see. And that didn't work. So you would have to go down to 400 on that one. I'm just going to go ahead and use my 13 nut file and knock that out. So there's still a little. There's barely any on this 10, but we'll get it done. And then as you're doing this, you're going to notice that I'm going to lift my arm. I'm going to put an angle on the back of any of these, all of these strings. And the reason that I do that is because we have the string tree guides to give it a cleaner angle, right? A down angle, in order to stop the noise, the sitar noise, which this one doesn't have. But had it had that, that would be the issue with that, is that you don't have the proper angle going to the tuning key. Another way to fix that too, a lot of times what you'll find on guitars is that the E string is way up high on the actual tuning peg itself, so you might want to drop that down a little bit lower, right? So now we're going to do the magical thing on this guitar, because we fixed those frets, it's intonated, we cut the nut, we polished the frets, we set the saddles up, we checked all the electronics, and now we're going to run the fretboard, right? So let's do that. So far so good, right? Because we did 4. Now we're going to get up to 8. So we got nothing. So fret 8 is good because 7 is good. Right? Now we're going to get up to 18. So if I were buying this guitar and I didn't pay for a pro setup, I would change these strings out. I just don't like them. I mean, some people actually like them. They're kind of like thick and I don't know. They're not smooth and silky like, say, like Diodario's are, right? No pinging. So the action on this guitar is 175, right? Which is, it's not bad. It's not. It's a nice action on it. The neck relief is set on it. Your nut is cut to where the guitar is actually playable. All your tuner keys are tightened up. You do have some. The saddle screw sticking up at you again. So why would you want to get a pro setup as opposed to this setup? For one, this bugs me. Okay, it just does. But it takes a minute to change these out, and so there's a cost involved in that. When we change these out too, we're going to change the strings, and you're going to get your choice of strings. Here's the most important part. So we intonated the guitar, but we intonated the guitar at 1.75. So when you go to take these saddle screws out, unless you get them right back to where you have them, or if you drop your action, which chances are, I'm assuming that you know how to set up a guitar, a guitar, right? So you know the basics of your neck relief, the how to intonate a guitar, how to change out saddle screws, things like that, right? So I would change the saddle screws out, and then I would put a good set of strings on this guitar if I got it. The frets are fine. If you have the strings off and you're doing a string change, go ahead and you can go up to 3,000, 3,500. You can go up to 12,000 if you want. Knock yourself out. These frets they're not gritty. You can't hear them. They feel like glass. They really do. So also with the pro setup, we'll go ahead and we'll clean your fingerboard. We lubed all the tuners. The tuners are fine, okay? Put lube in there and you'll never have to worry about it. When I say lube, I use, it's just Keezy silicone grease. Just take a little toothpick and just put a little dab in there, and it'll work itself around the gear case, or the gear cog, I should say. But this guitar is definitely playable, right? And look at this, the F chord, because the nut's cut properly. That's why it's easy to play. It's not because I'm great at playing the F chord, the barred F chord. It's hard to bar that chord if your nut is cut real high. So the other thing that we do is we'll go ahead and take all the glue off and do all that stuff on your pickup. Instead of using just a tuner to intonate your guitar, we use the TC Electronics strobe tuner, which is a really good strobe tuner. What else? I don't know. You get to choose your strings. Tell us where you want your neck relief at. If you want it relatively flat, you do. But this guitar is still a player, just like this, you know what I mean? So you can see that if I were to send you this guitar, as it was not playable. That's a guitar, and I'm going to say that's most guitars that you get from China. The factories, they set them up with kind of a die type deal, you know, a guide. Like all these things, they're not intonated, but there's a guide that they put on top of this thing, and the screws automatically go down, or they have people that put the screws down in order to meet the guides. But the neck relief is never right. They've been sitting in a shipping container for a month and a half, you know, on a boat. And then you get to here, it's 13 degrees here today. So the neck relief's going to be out. The action's going to be high. The screws, you know, the wood shrinks and it swells. When it's ice cold, the wood's going to shrink up on you. That's why all the tuning keys bolts are loose. So we have to tighten all that kind of stuff. So keep it in mind, you do get a nice playable guitar. Again, if you don't know how to set up a guitar, is this guitar set up well enough to play? Absolutely. Do you want it to play perfectly? Get a pro setup. All right, and I'm not trying to pitch pro setup because we typically set up about 70 to 75% of the guitars that we sell as it is with pro setups. But every guitar does get a setup. And now you guys kind of get the gist of how long it takes just to do a regular setup on a guitar. All right. So, as always, family, I want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time, man. Peace.